Hello everybody and welcome to Golden Axe Free for the Sega Mega Drive.
Oh boy, we venture further into the series.
Unfortunately, Jova, I have bad news.
What? Is this a Rocky movie now?
Our man Nofumi Ataya is not doing the music for this game.
Oh,
So who is doing the music?
Well, it's okay. To be fair, this intro music is actually pretty fine.
I'm checking in the meantime.
Yeah.
But, yeah, also guess what the plot is? A big brutish barbarian has stole the golden axe.
Well, to be fair,
found,
Teo, you don't play these games for the plot anyway. Who cares?
I know.
I found the music composers. Now, Fumi Hataya, Tatsuya.
Oh, Ataya did the music for this?
Haruo Ogura.
Oh, never mind. I was
bad.
under the impression that Ataya didn't do the music for this one.
Well,
Maybe
he was
it
one of
was
the
just like those
co-composers.
It's weird because the music
so I
in this
guess
game. It's weird because the music in this game is quite a step down, at least in my opinion, from the second game's soundtrack. But oh well.
Wait. Tyrus is back all of a sudden?
Yes, Tyrus is back.
I think this is another character.
No, it's Tyrus Flare too. Anyway, now that you have been released from the evil curse, your mission is to defeat the Prince of Darkness and return with the Golden Axe. Go Warriors! And once again, I will just stay here and not help.
Wait. Oh, so we're going up against now?
Alright.
Yeah, why not just talk of us through headsets a little bit? Because clearly, you being there is pointless. You like M sometimes in James Bond. Half the time, he or she just goes out into the field randomly, even though you're supposed to be the head. You know, you're not supposed to be, putting your life at risk going into the field unless it's super duper important.
Alright, anyway.
Okay, here's the confusion, Pedro, because the character who resembles Axe Battler is called Cane Grinder, while the character who resembles Tyrus Flare is called Sarah Byrne. However, the Sega Channel localization of the game still calls them Axe Battler and Tyrus Flare.
Alright, my guess is they're meant to be Tyrus and Axe, it's just that someone in the localization fucked up.
Actually, no. Those were the original Japanese names. The other two characters being Proud Cragger, the Panther that is also on screen, and Kronos Evil Right.
Why would you even bother designing a whole new female character if you're gonna? Why would you even bother designing a whole new female character if you're gonna make her look exactly like Tyrus Flare?
She does seem to have a bit more muscle compared to her.
You can make an argument that she just buffed up in between games. Yeah, so
I mean, honestly, if anything, I'm kind of with the localization on this. Like, not only that, but the other guy looks exactly like
Axe Battler.
What's his name? Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't make any sense.
Well,
to give him a
regardless,
different name.
Golden Axe Free is once again a scrolling beat 'em up, and look at that. Now we have
snails riding dinosaurs.
Yeah, now we have one of those moving platform sections that a lot of beat 'em ups at the time had.
Yeah.
But anyway, in this time we have we have 4 new characters. Not Tyrus Flare, not Axe Battler, and we also have an anthropomorphic puma and a gigantic barbarian, and I can't bring myself to bring up the manual to read their names because I still don't give a crap.
Proud Cragger is the giant, while the Panther is called Kronos, quote-unquote evil.
Oh.
Right.
The one of them just literally jump off the cart.
Yes.
Yep, and jump back on.
Also, just for flavor, this game for the original release did not really got outside of Japan, and the only thing close to that was the aforementioned Sega Channel, but only for America. Europe never got the game until one of the compilations later
because
on the line.
Europe didn't have the Sega Channel.
That's not to mention, Teo, at least from what I've checked, even the Japanese original release is written in English. So
that makes even less sense. Why didn't Sega actually ported this game in the West?
Maybe Golden Axe 2 didn't sell as much as they wanted.
I guess there was also like a discrepancy because the original release was 1993, but the American Sega Channel port was in 1995, 2 years later.
Damn, didn't the Saturn come out that year?
This was the game that...
once again, Sega having a bizarre way to marketing and handling its properties.
Once again, Golden Axe Free... Go ahead.
Audience, the second channel was essentially the equivalent to stuff like the eShop nowadays, albeit more
Yeah.
periodic. That's right. Even back then, we sort of had online-only sort
Well,
of games that you could get
technically,
in there.
technically, the first console to do it was the Intellivision. The Intellivision did actually have a Sega Channel type service. It was very primitive in like early days type of shit, but but it did have it. It was a very rudimentary, but considering games at the time were like 1 kilobyte in size, it was very doable. But anyway. Once again, Golden Axe Free is and now Tyra's magic is again related to fire.
Yeah, fire magic like Tyra.
Yeah, sorry. You know what? I'm just gonna call her not Tyrus.
Yeah, it's for the better. While Chrono seems to be using ice instead.
Anyway, the basic idea is Golden Axe Free was once again developed by the same team that made the Mega Drive port of 1 and Golden Axe 2. And another thing that Golden Axe Free introduces, alternate paths. It doesn't change anything. It's not like you get different cutscenes or anything for doing it, but they're there.
I guess it's similar because around that time Capcom had been releasing the Dungeons and Dragons beat 'em up, and those actually had branching paths.
Alright, let's see. Map of the Eastland. Well, where's the Westland then?
What about the Northland?
And the Southland?
You know, speaking of quote-unquote
Ancient
different characters...
Mound.
Good to know. Anyway, speaking of characters who are supposedly different but look the exact same, the bad guy for this, I'm assuming that was the bad guy we saw at the start, looks once again like Death Adder. So...
Yeah, like I said, it's the recurring thing of a franchise. In this case, Jova get this. The name is super cool. Damud Hellstrike, the Prince of Darkness.
Wow.
Can you be a bit more generic?
In the localization.
I think it seems to be the same, actually. The same name across the versions.
As you can see, this game got a graphics overhaul compared to the previous two. They were clearly trying to, bring up the graphic fidelity to be more on par with Revenge of Death Adder. The big problem with Golden Axe 3 is that it's basically, in my opinion, the worst of the Golden Axe, at least the main series, at least the ones that are the scrolling beat 'em up games. I'm not cutting spin-offs. Because it's one of those cases, Tail brought it up best, actually, like, if Golden Axe 2 was way too much like the first one, this one suffers from the opposite problem. This game gets to a point where it basically denies, to the point of even having a character like this and not calling her Tyrus Flare just comes across as just insulting to me. Because why can't you just bring in the characters that we actually know and recognize? If you're gonna make your character look like this, just make her Tyrus Flare while you're at it.
In general, there seems to be a... Sorry, go on, Jova. Sorry.
That's the thing, Pedro. I guess technically the localization did just that for us, seeing as how they do pretty much call them Tyrus and...
True, but the actual developers themselves, the actual developers themselves didn't bother making her Tyrus, so I'm gonna still complain. The localization shouldn't have to correct the developers.
Sorry.
So, no, go ahead.
Already in 2, but with also Revenge of the Death Adder, there seems to be this sort of not necessarily animosity, but more like desire for the old cast to just go away and pass the baton to someone else. Yeah.
Speaking of which, why does the dwarf guy get...
Gillius is your mission control here. It basically tells you where to go.
Yes, Gillius never gets played.
Why would you render him like that and not make him playable? Like, wasn't he like, the most...
He's the fan favorite character, yes.
Yeah, isn't he like practically the series mascot? Like,
pretty much.
Yeah, he is. And yet, for some reason, he doesn't get playable only except for 1 and 2.
That's right. This game is already sending me mixed messages. So you make 2 characters that look like 2 of the characters, yet refuse to call them that. Like, don't even link them to it. Like, hey, maybe say that they're their descendants. Like, sure, it would be cheap, but at least I could get it, maybe. But
it's one of those things where
they don't. And then also sideline what is arguably the series' mascot character for no reason.
It's one of those things where you can at the very least give Golden Axe 2 credit, because for as bland as it was not ashamed to just be a true sequel to the original. Whereas this, it's just it gets to a point where you might as well get Gillius out of the game, just call it something different entirely by this point.
Wait, did Golden Axe 2 have the same cast as the first game?
Yes, the exact same. all three.
Oh, it's a bit hard to keep track, but yeah, there was Golden Axe 2, and then there was that spin-off game we did, I believe.
Revenge of Death Adder. That's the thing, to Jova. Revenge of Death Adder is the actual real sequel to the original arcade game made by the same team. Because remember, the team that made Golden Axe 2 on the Mega Drive was the team that ported the first game to the Mega Drive. The actual original creator and his original arcade team made Revenge of Death Adder as the unofficial sequel to the original arcade game, basically.
Funny, like, in a lot of ways, people would consider Revenge of Death Adder to be the true sequel, but from what you guys have shown me...
we all did, even us here, so...
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It sounds like Golden Axe 2 is the better successor, at least in the very case of, respecting the original.
Compared to this one, definitely. I mean, for as bland as it was, at the very least, it actually bothered to, tick all the boxes in the checklist.
Now, do not get me wrong, audience. I have nothing against new characters and whatnot. Like, if each game wants to have like a new cast, that's fine and all.
Yeah, this Puma's magic is smoke. Apparently,
I thought that was the game over screen.
It does look a bit suspiciously like TV static.
I mean, one of your playable characters just got knocked away, so I thought.
Actually, one thing that you can tell, Pedro, is that aside from the magic meter, what are those symbols under the character?
That's the thing, Teo. I don't know what the hell those female gender symbols do.
Time to get on game facts.
Are they hit points?
I'm pretty sure the manual explains it, but I still don't give a crap. Like, back in the day, Teo, you see, Teo, back in the day, I actually got this game via a used gamer store that was only the cartridge, so I never actually owned the manual of this crap. So I never knew what the hell this was.
Sorry, go on, Joe. I'll see you later.
I didn't know, Pedro. I'd say that you don't like this game.
It's not that it's a bad game per se. It's just... It's hard to explain. See, I can say it's...
I think I might have an idea, but I'll let you try first.
It's like, okay, it's like this. First of all, this doesn't even feel like a Golden Axe because, first of all, the idea that they made a character like this and just not name her Tyner's Flare, that alone ticks me the wrong way. That's the first thing already. And not to mention the not Axe Battler character dog. You might as well just call him. He even has the exact same pose as Axe Battler. Like it's like they decided to change their names and identities at the last minute. Like
it is very much them trying to have their cake and eat it. Like, I mean, it feels so lazy and just disrespectful at the same time.
Well, free is what TV tropes would call a contested sequel. It's either the best game because of the tighter controls, varied moves and characters, or it's slow and ugly.
It's more so the fact, Dubs, that it's a generic beat-em-up that, okay, and I will give it credit that graphically, yeah, it does look definitely higher quality graphically than the previous games. It's definitely trying to, definitely take advantage of the Mega Drive hardware. So I'll give it that, but it's just one of those cases where the game, while still having, the whole Conan the Barbarian inspired look and style, it doesn't really. It feels more like it wants to be something else in a lot of ways. It's kind of. Go ahead, Jova. You try since you said you were.
Well, it's like I said. This feels like the developers trying to have their cake and eat it. Like, you want to make a different cast of characters, but you essentially have new characters which are literally wearing the skins of characters we knew and loved from previous games, and trying to pass them off as different characters. Like, even if that's not the intent, that kind of does feel borderline insulting, like, and just downright lazy overall.
Like, imagine if I made a new Layton game and had a new main character that looked exactly like Layton, but his name is Barton. Like it makes no sense.
Yeah. Here's my new original Layton character, Baton.
Okay. You know what's funny?
Wait, Baton sounds like Baton sounds like a level 5 version of my.
Now, what's interesting? Actually, looking at the character art for these characters for Golden Axe 3, Kane and Sarah do actually look different from Tyrus and Axe Battler here. So, why they didn't translate that into the game is beyond me. Again, maybe they were just being lazy, and who knows, maybe the art was made after the game.
So, did you find anything on these symbols?
Because GameFAQs, the only one major guide on GameFAQs also throws ends in the air for all the things. So.
Well, here's what you do too. Go to replacementdocs.com, which is a thing that has backups of old manuals. See if you can find the Golden X free manual. See if that explains it, maybe.
Well, there is a translation of a manual here, so let me check.
Go ahead then.
Anyway,
Go on in the meantime. Well, okay, one thing that I can tell in the meantime, Jova, is one thing that you were referring to about, potentially not caring about the game. Apparently, according to a quote that is here on Wikipedia, in a feature of the game, Electronic Gaming Monthly commented, Sega of Japan is not going to release this title here in the States, and for good reasons. The graphics are by far some of the most plain looking on the Mega Drive, plus the new magic effects aren't as impressive as before, so if you're considering purchasing this title from an overseas seller, don't waste your bucks. This sounds more like a review that the Gaming in the Clinton Years video will do.
Oh, yeah, okay, they got me imagining. I can just hear George Wood's voice saying stuff like that.
It's one of those things where
I can't do a good George Wood impression.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the graphic, technically the background and sprite quality is high quality. It's just the art direction that looks plain, like that guy said. Like it doesn't look as visually appealing as 1 and 2, or even that Revenge of Death Adder for that matter. Like it's just. It's just one of those cases where it's trying to, again, you can tell it's trying to replicate the look of Revenge of the Death Adder. It's trying to bring it more up to arcade standards in terms of graphics, but the Mega Drive cannot quite do it. Not quite. Go ahead.
Although Tio, if this really were a George Wood review, he'd find something in this game to spend like 5 minutes waffling on about for no good reason.
Oh, and by the way, while we're at it, the Golden X that shows up in this game, hell, even the Golden X that we see in Golden X 2, even, it's golden, and it looks properly with the proper color. So I still have no idea why the hell the yellow X from Gillius' original arcade game, why the hell it was gray in the Mega Drive port.
Yep, so, Golden Axe. It's golden.
I know. Well, yeah, true. But that's the thing. This proves that the Mega Drive is perfectly capable of doing the color yellow on an axe. So why the hell was
axe was a fake?
That's the thing. There's Gillius's axe is not meant to be the golden axe. It's just an axe that also happens to be gold. But maybe it's but in the Mega Drive port, it's gray for some reason. That's what I don't get. Like, the Mega Drive is perfectly capable of doing that color.
Also, I checked also in the meantime, one thing that I have found is the actual properties. Turns out that the magic that Kronos is using is supposed to be fog magic.
Oh,
so there's that.
Basically, yeah.
Anyway, going back to what I was saying earlier about this series, the series is a bit weird, though. I mean, okay, now to say this, audience.
And apparently the thieves now, they fall from the sky? Like, what?
So it would seem. Now look, audience. I'm not automatically against proceeding adding in new characters or hell, even replacing the original protagonist. Like, I'm a fan of Castlevania, so I'm used to protagonists getting replaced here and there. What is weird is how they do it here, though. Like, again, they partially leave some of the cast alive, and in Revenge of Death Adder, only Gillius is left, and, well, he dies too. Like, is it supposed to be some passing of the baton? Because if it is, does not really get it across well and straight here.
I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the previous playthrough, but Revenge of Death Adder sounds like a really bad sequel to Blackadder.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually found what these symbols mean. Okay, they're not supposed to be female symbols. They're supposed to be stick figure heads, because those are basically the number of lives that the characters have. You can increase them by rescuing the civilians.
But okay, but here's the thing too. I know that those numbers, the number 2 that we have now, those are.
I think that's the magic count.
No, that's the thing too. It's not. I assure you, there's gonna be points in this playthrough where I do die, and that number decreases.
It's either like one is the actual lives and the other like the continues.
Maybe those
Or
symbols.
credits,
Maybe those symbols are the continues. I don't fucking know. Whatever. The basic point is, another thing that also makes this game a bit disappointing. Okay, first of all, the names of the levels themselves. The names of the levels so far are so unimaginatively,
Lame.
but the scorching sand. Oh, how
The
creative!
Team Jungle.
Because sand can be hot.
Yeah,
Like
not
the
just
first
that.
game had stuff like the Turtle Village, which did say a lot potentially without showing that much, or like where you traveled on the Eagle, for example.
Whereas this game, remember, all previous games, even Revenge of the Death Adder, despite being an arcade game, always had little bits in between levels explaining what's going on right now. Okay, we did this, now we're going to this place so we can do X. So there was this sense of, like purpose. They weren't just going into here because it's the next level. There was an actual reason for them to go here. In this game, they didn't even bother. It's just next level, next level, next level. So there's not that sense of cohesion that the previous games had. It's like the developers didn't even care.
The actual... Sorry, go on.
It's like they're levels just for the sake of being video game levels. There's no attempt to actually try to make this an actual world.
Even the actual plot feels more deflated because it says that thou would hell strike the Prince of Darkness after taking the card the Golden Axe has put an evil curse all over all of the warriors. However, one, or in this case two because co-op, of the heroes has their curse relieved and is sent to set things straight, leave the curse on the others, defeat the villain and return with the Golden Axe. Now again, don't get me wrong, even the previous game were not like Shakespearean in terms of a plot, but it feels like nothing.
Well, yeah, of course. Nobody plays Golden Axe for the plot. That's not the issue. The issue is that while it is true that the Golden Axe games never had an actual proper plot, they actually, at the very least, bothered to at the very least try to make the progression cohesive in the sense that there's an actual reason for why we're going to this next level. We're not just going because this is the next level,
And by the
Also
time
to showcase how the personality of the world, in a way, through visual storytelling.
Okay, you could make the argument that some people did play it, maybe not necessarily for the plot, but for the lore. Like, there was definitely an attempt at, establishing a loose enough narrative, but definitely there being a lore.
Like,
hence,
if I had to choose between... Sorry, go on, sorry.
Well, hence the change in time and characters over there, some living, some not, and since in Gillius' case, as well as stuff like establishing the royalty and whatnot and helping the royals, as well as, by the end of Revenge of the Death Adder, all the original guys are dead, essentially, I guess now leaving the land in the new hero's position, even though that pretty much gets... Well, actually, Golden Axe 3 technically doesn't overturn it, so...
Well, remember, Revenge of the Death Adder is the sequel to the original arcade game, where... Think of it like this, Joe, but there's two different series, the arcade series and the Mega Drive series. They don't have anything to do with each other.
Pretty much. But yeah, if back in the day I didn't know anything and I had to choose what would have interested the most between, say, Streets of Rage and this one, I would have picked this one from setting alone, So there is the component of the setting and the world building. It's just that in this, I actually agree, this game makes it, at least so far, more subpar compared to the previous title.
It feels like this game was made, and I think that the developers by this point were tired of making Golden Axe games, and this game clearly was made because demanding, not because they actually wanted to make more. Like by this point, Golden Axe.
Remember the beast riding?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I wouldn't say that this feels like they didn't want to make a Beast Rider game because, okay, all complaints aside, it does look like it handles well enough, especially regarding some of the reception here and there. And okay. It's not like this game feels like, oh, they're sick of it. Like, well, it still does feel enough like a Golden Axe game that I could say that,
it
feels want to make another one. I think it feels more like they just, actually, I think that's just it. I'm not quite sure
Well, I
If they
mean,
wanted
I
to do it,
think I
except
can
that they
actually.
wanted to make a
I
new
think I
one.
can explain what you feel, Joe. Okay, fine. Yeah, like you said, yes, mechanically, yeah, this is a Golden Axe game. However, it feels half baked. It doesn't feel like their heart. It doesn't feel like their heart was entirely. I don't think they were truly feeling this project. Like they did the bare minimum so that they can still consider this a Golden Axe game. Mechanically, it's what it should be. It has the beast riding. It has the beat 'em up. It has the Conan the Barbarian aesthetic to it.
Look at, for example, these boss actually look a bit imaginative with their designs, So there was at least an attempt of some kind.
But it doesn't feel like, but it still doesn't feel like they went in entirely with full effort, because, like I said, there's literally no attempt to making any kind of cohesive level progression. You're just in the next level because.
I guess in a way, for a rule of thumb, I guess I could compare it to Apollo Justice, which was clearly a game shooter Kumi didn't want to make. Apollo Justice did feel like an Ace Attorney game, yes, but it did feel like it was skimping on some of the juicy bits that helped make the original trilogy as fun as it was. I guess here it feels a bit different, seeing as how the gameplay looks sound enough, and in the time when this game was made, this was sort of more about where, hey, as long as the gameplay was good, you wouldn't get as much complaints about other stuff. But I guess if you actually do look into it deep enough, you can see stuff other than the game, which, may not seem as great. Like, again, the whole thing with our supposed new characters that pretty much might as well just be clones, if not outright descendants of the originals, but apparently aren't. It is weird. Now, it's not like per se Nintendo and NES. No. Actually, I don't think we still have an explanation why Nintendo looks so much like NES, but at the very least, those were two completely different narratives. Like, even if, they looked alike, their behaviors were different enough that, I could believe that those two were different characters.
I wouldn't say that.
We don't have that to go off and differentiate the newer characters from the old.
Yeah, the thieves now have the ability to dig underground as well as fall from the sky, like we saw. I don't know.
Have you took a wrong turn in Albuquerque?
Apparently.
Also, I just wanted to point out that the two go-to bosses apparently knew how to do the double lariat move from Final Fight.
Apparently.
Nice jab, Sega, I guess.
I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say. I would put this on the same category as an Apollo Justice, because this game at the very worst, all it does is make me shake my head, whereas Apollo Justice was basically the last Jedi of Ace Attorney.
Also, Joe, I remember the sudden out of nowhere 4-4 breaking that breaks the immersion was in the arcade version of the first game.
Who knows with this series, but I guess we'll see.
When they're done with the DLC for Streets of Rage 4, I'm so secretly hoping that .mu wants to make a Golden Axe 4 after it. Maybe I would love for .mu to make a Golden Axe 4. It would be so wonderful.
The developers or the publishers?
Well, I don't know.
Well, regardless, the people who made Streets of Rage 4, that's what he meant. Alright, so we'll see you for the next part, I guess.
I keep getting them mixed up. See it.
See ya.